Hi, this is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Essential, and today is Saturday, March the 16th, 2019. And I'm back with my gal pals, my posse extraordinaire, Lisa Flamino Rush and BZ Rieger. Hi, guys. All right, so.
I come here just to find out what date it is.
Oh, really?
When you said the date, I was like, oh, all right, that's what the date is.
That's the only reason I know the date is it's down here in the corner. I don't know if everybody can tell. Usually, at least the first recording, and sometimes all of them, I have to look.
Look in the corner here.
And I don't know. It helps Smarmy a little because Smarmy's floundering these days just a little, so which is all good. Toss him the date lifeboat. Ring. Here's the date, Smarms. Have a seat. Okay, so in looking over some of BC's nudges to try to think about what to play with this evening, I chose tonight, and we're going with, we have leaped into Uncharted, Unfathomed, Unanticipated, surprising realms. Let's play. I adore that.
Me too.
Because that feels wholly real. Well, I mean, okay, so this is something that just happened to me this evening, actually, and I shared it with Lisa briefly before we jumped in with BZ. But I had an experience while taking an hour to just, be on my own and lie on my biomat. I have that biomat, amethyst biomat. And all at once, I, through my closed eyes, I could see like a holographic 3D vision of my brain. And then, and of course, all the frequencies are really going haywire in my head. And all at once, I can see this electric blue flame is all I can share with you that it looked like. It sort of reminded me of, those, I don't know, you might even call them Tesla balls or whatever, where if you touch it, it was like that, only it was electric blue, and it was going over in pulses, and I could feel the pulses throughout my body. And it was very interesting. So I'm just lying there noticing, oh, okay, beautiful blue. I love blue. It's one of my favorite colors. And then my vision started swirling, only in my left eye. This is something that's happened to me before. And then I noticed that stopped, and it came over to my right eye. And now I was feeling a presence to my right. Nothing to be afraid of, Oh, I feel you there, kind of the way I was approaching the whole thing. And I had this flood of, again, more electric blue and mixed with magenta flooding into my vision. And then sort of matter-of-factly, it was as though this other aspect of myself, sort of a being-ish form, just slipped in to this form, and that it was just matter-of-factly, and it was done, and it was over, and I'm like, okay, cool. Don't know what that was, but interesting to say the least. And that just, like within maybe 2.5 hours ago, I guess so cool. But I'm sure I'll get more information about it as I go along. There's been other aspects that have blended in here that I've for a long time kind of doubted. But now that I'm getting more solidly in myself and feel things, I don't really have those doubts anymore.
Yeah, because you're seamlessly syncing up now.
Yeah. It's just that, when someone gets this information about themselves and they haven't, we still have all that programming and conditioning. And, when you first get the feeling that you might be an archangel, so that's kind of overwhelming, and then now I kind of feel like we all have aspects of different things of who and what we are, and a lot of them are starting to make sense to me. I mean, just like that experience with the whole swing bit that I related in another video, where Lisa helped me see something. I've been trying to give myself that metaphor of get your ass on the swing for a long time. And I just didn't hear it or whatever. I wasn't paying attention. It's come to me in all kinds of different forms, but I guess I wasn't ready for it or whatever, So yeah, this is
well, one of the ways you can just on that last piece, you can characterize it as being not ready for it. You can also characterize it as it comes to you, and you encounter it however you encounter it. And from, when you finally open the door, have it come in, we're having tea, and then, you've integrated it, you may look back and go, well, I guess it wasn't ready. Except another way to hold it is that each time you encounter it, it was, taking off a part of a coat. If you layers, you got a whole 20 coats on and you take off a coat. And so you actually are ready. And that's why it's come to you in the very first time, right? It's just getting you so that to the part where it's that seamless integration, if that makes sense.
Oh, actually it does. Sort of like when I've seen different things, in movies, television, articles, most certainly recently, and I've considered them source within, moving different writers, artists, whatever, for a sort of seeding, perhaps, of the consciousness. And so maybe that's the way to view that for myself, is there's been like a seeding of the consciousness, you think?
Yeah, well, no, I know. I don't think I'm certain of it. And the seeds will be different. Some seeds lay dormant for a long time, and some seeds sprout, or some seeds need to be, nicked. So there's a whole lot of things if you're going to use the seed metaphor. But
right,
you just because it's I heard a lot of people say, oh yeah, I wish I'd be ready for this and that. But we see these things, we could not encounter them if we're not ready for them. That doesn't mean that at that moment we don't. It can, but at that moment we don't just have it slip right in like you talked about, and it's integrated. And yes, that absolutely can and does happen in little, just in this focus, or in huge chunks, or in a totality. But what I'm saying is, you said, well, I guess I wasn't ready. The fact that you encountered it, that you noticed it, that you saw it, was your signal you are ready. And it was just, taking up some of this stuff. Or if you're going to use the metaphor of marble, you were the being that Sheila that's unfolding is in there, and we just need to polish off and chip off some marble here and there, and so that's one of your signs that you are ready. You're either ready for a certain grit of sandpaper if you're refining something down, or
right. Yeah, well, that makes sense. I mean, I guess you're right. I have no idea. I can't put a name to what happened, who it is, what portion of me, none of that. But I do feel that that information will come over time.
Right. And
it's almost like a packet, like that quote unquote vision that I had about my community. It's sort of like a packet. Like I feel like I can go back and revisit this.
well,
I don't know.
the other thing about it being seamless too, as it comes in, you could say, oh, that's, the X aspect of me. That's kind of looking at your arm and going, hey, this is Tom. Say hi to Tom, and this is Sheila, and, this is Harriet over here. Or they're you. And this aspect is brought on, with the seamlessness, the propensity that just, this is not accurate, that they had for this skill or this whatever, and now it's you. It's all you.
Yeah, well, that's yes, you're right, because it's not like there's like a.
So if you like naming your arm, okay, go for it. But it's like that. You know what I mean? It's
yes. No, I do feel that. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense, and I guess the aspects of me that, because there are aspects of me whom I am aware of specific, descriptions or whatever.
mm-hmm.
I haven't had any kind of like integration with those aspects that I'm aware of. I just know that they're huge aspects.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all and I think maybe that's why I was so drawn to this, because this particular one,
mm-hmm.
because it is uncharted and unfathomed and unanticipated, and
and that's actually on that's actual, literal, and metaphoric, and on different layers, what this is referring to. So to back up a little bit, and to I'm going to tease beings out for a minute, have so that there's parts, so that if this is a new encountering of a thought form for people, it'll be helpful. So the humans on the planet are doing their thing, and at their level of waking up and becoming more conscious, and through the transformation and the ascension process, you could call it the galactic evolution, all sorts of ways to hold it. And just if you don't call it ascension or know it's ascension, doesn't mean it's not going to happen to you. You don't even have to have ever heard the word or know any idea what it is. So I just want to make sure I use lots of different words in case because someone said, well, how do the people over in Africa or something, out in the Serengeti know? What if they don't know about ascension? Well, they're a being, and they're a kick-ass creator being. So where it may be different in their their personal languaging, it doesn't matter. So like I said, you don't have to stand with your right leg up but to sort it out. So the planet and all the beings on it are going through, as all is, but just we'll take this for a minute, are going through different things. And so Sheila and Lisa and Beezy are going through these things. Just we'll use the three of us. And Sheila and Lisa and Beezy are going through these things, aiding us going through these things, watching us go through these things, although we're not at all separate, but we're going to put the two, okay? So on that level, the uncharted and the unprecedented and the leaps and bounds made are you could say, the little human beings to go further, farther, deeper, wider, broader, more Yahoo-ness of fully leaping into this quantum up jump ascension leap that they're making, then, you know, Sheila Lisa Beasy and Sheila Lisa Beasy ever imagined that they would do at this moment in time, if that makes sense, right? And so to add another layer just on that level, all of the collective consciousness on this planet, and with the whole scope, you've heard of the 2-world split, you know, and then the 3-world split, because there is different levels of consciousness and different onboardness, so to say, of becoming conscious, all that kind of stuff. So again, the decisions made by the beings, you know, do we go a little faster, placeholder words, a little faster and just have a percentage, which is a much smaller percentage, go and do their thing this time around, and the others can, when they choose, you know, in a couple 100 million years, they do their time around. And at that point, which was right around the 2012 mark, it was a decision made, no, let's do more to bring more on, and let's widen the window, we'll say, that was encapsulating this. And that was all chosen by all, you know, in the consciousness level. So that again is an unprecedented, unfathomable thing to go that level. So there's a lot of never having been done's before on all sorts of levels and layers and, you know, aspects and that kind of stuff. So that's just some of the tangible part of it. And what that does now on other layers of tangible part is that it's what you know, the toy box that it's opening up. So we decided in Toto that we wanted as many beings who would take the time and the choice to come and play. And then we all decided that we would work on building a super big, really cool quantum toy box for them all, for us all, for them all, however you're going to say it, right? So it's including more and more, to avail themselves of. And since it's you know, all those uns, the toy box as it was being constructed got, you know, cooler and more morphy and more, you know, larger and have more things in it. And that begot more of the unprecedentedness. Hence, you can sit here and describe, especially you, Sheila, for someone who not that long ago in linear time, you know, wasn't connected, and could someone help her do that, and couldn't, you know, visualize things, and didn't see different things. You know, the list is long, it's all recorded, so you can just go back and look. But, you know, right? So can now, someone who did that can now sit here and describe what you described at the opening of this conversation, right? And so this is how everything is unfolding. And as you glance at that, as you kind of look askance at it, as you play with it, as you dive into it, you actually, and all of us are adding to the uncharted, unfathomed, unanticipated, surprising realms that we can all play in, because the toy box has gotten gigantic. And actually it's, offshoots of toolboxes that come up that are all in the quantum realm.
Yeah, the minute you started talking about the toy box, I saw not only the toy box, but then immediately all of us like the TARDIS. And for those who may or may not know, the TARDIS is the ship that Doctor Who uses. He is a Time Lord, and it's much bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. And I kind of feel like I immediately in my head when you started talking about the toy box, it's like the TARDIS. It's bigger on the inside. But then I thought, wait a minute, that actually also applies to us.
Yeah.
Because we are much more vast than we've allowed ourselves to be convinced that we are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the, for me, that's the, unanticipated surprising realms for one thing, because that's, yeah.
Yeah, so I just keep talking. I was nudged to send these things over, so I'm going to do this.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. I had to go there about the TARDIS because, while Lisa was gone in Minnesota, I went back and because she'd never heard of Doctor Who, and I went back and watched a couple of episodes of the Well, at any rate, I adore that metaphor, and I get it now. Hats off to Doctor Who for that, because the deeper I go within myself, the more I'm very certain that we are always experiencing multidimensionality. The things that are happening in other realms and other timelines. I think that's why we started this conversation off camera, and I said, everything is true. And I really, I'm certain of that now. If it has been thought of, or anybody think that's the way it goes, yes. Is it a flat Earth? Yes, it is. Is it a round Earth? Yes, it is. Is it an amoeba-sized Earth? Yes, it is. If you can think it, it is. That's what I think. That's what I feel.
That makes perfect sense.
Yes.
Yes.
Because we're creator beings, and with what we do, we create things.
Yeah.
And we're unlimited, and we're eternal. So we can never run out of things to create, or the ideas to create things. So it all just makes sense and follow that that's the case.
Yes,
and when you're that moment that you described, Sheila, of doing some things, I don't know why this is taking so long, of seeing all that vision and having that part of you come into you, that's happening wholesale to everyone, on different, some parts they may know and notice as distinctly as you did. Some they may be unconscious of it because they're having some blocks, intentional blocks of it, or they're sleeping when these things happen. But we can set it up for ourselves to ask to remember things, to ask to, you could say, be notified, and however you're going to hold it and characterize it, so that you're more cognizant of these things as they occur. And then there are different tools that come with them that I'm just downloading the pictures now, that you can, so that you can work with them and play with them and notice that, they've come to your toolbox and you want to use them.
Oh,
Does that make sense?
Yes.
yeah. How
Yes.
beautiful is that little
Say what, Lisa?
chime? The little chime there. You could almost visualize them coming in.
And that chime thing is funny. It only does it. I have no idea how it got there. I don't know how to set it. I don't know what it's done to. It only comes in very occasionally, and it's always the most opportune time. And I think it's the funniest thing. It's not my doing.
That was delightful.
That is cool. That is
And
really cool.
kind of how it is, isn't it? All of a sudden it gets very dusty.
So let me see if I can. So what I'm going to share screens for a minute and see if I can do this.
Okay.
What have you got?
Okay. So you were saying, Sheila, that we're bigger than we think we are. Is that kind of?
Well, I was saying that much like the TARDIS, we are much larger inside than we are on the outside. We're quantum.
Right. Okay.
And
so this would be an example then, Sheila and Lisa and all, that this is, your left arm on the inside. That's what your left arm encompasses. Right?
Yeah. Sure.
No kidding.
Why not?
And then, that's part of, your stomach.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, these are really small pictures. They should be big.
Yeah.
And, and that's, like in the follicles of your hair.
Mm-hmm.
We are the stuff,
your big toenail.
of stars. And we're how they got there. And we are aspects of, in this system, in this particular cloud, if you see these particular, this is actually bigger than a star. It looks like a star, but I believe it's a whole planetary system. So we are they're aspects of us that just pick one little tiny point on this image. And that, there are others, but that is one aspect of you right now.
Right. Well, that's what we kind of had a conversation about that once before in regards to the all, and that whole, what is it, a platitude, we are all one kind of thing, because this sort of applies for me in that well, of course I'm this, that, and the other in all these other kind of realms, because I'm not small and I am part of the all, and we are way more capable than we ever in this particular incarnation allowed ourselves to know. That's what I've decided at this moment. It's, yes, there's been programming and conditioning. Okay, I get that. Yes, so-and-so over here did that to me, and and my mom and her mom and all that. But in the end result of that, it is all me. When you get right down to the little bit of it, either we're all one or we're not. And so I think that's the way we designed it for the experiences. And now that we're unbinding and unwinding that, well, how cool is it that, okay, so I played this little game with myself that I didn't think I was anything at all except for this little tiny thing in this meat suit that got up to 490 pounds and, didn't know anything and all that kind of stuff. And now I get to play all these really cool games with myself of, oh yeah, okay, now it's meet who you really are. Because that's fun. And I'm enjoying the hell out of that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, meet who you really are.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
The beings on one of those planets and all of those kinds of things, and the dust, the stardust, all that sort of thing. And one of the reasons, it's kind of funny. So this is this right here in the image, and even we could say a piece of this on the image is within you. So how good are you at playing the game, at convincing yourself, of setting it up to make everything so real that you were absolutely superbly convinced that you were small and that someone has power over you and that there are limits? I mean, that's how good so it's, yes, it's a bit of a mind-blowing experience, but on the other hand, it's, this really is a tool to help you turn it around and look at it and go, this is the stuff that you are. And this is just a tiny, small aspect portion. This is not the totality of who you are. Right?
Yeah. No,
So
exactly.
you can really start to get a sense of, and the habit, a lot of it is habit of thinking that you're small, or thinking that you're powerless, or thinking that you need this, or, it's as simple as, and as excruciatingly difficult as, in this moment, right, that you are the unfettered access, and you give it unfettered access to yourself, and you never lost it to begin with. So it's that simple and that sublimely beautiful and that absolutely excruciatingly difficult, even to hold the whiff of the comprehension of that for a nanosecond. And then, it gets better. But I'm saying, so absolutely, both of those are exactly so.
Yes, and everything in between.
Yeah, and that's part of what we're doing. That's part of the unwinding and unbinding. That's part of the revealing. That's part of the let's play. And we are, because we wrung those experiences and those creations so dry for all the way that we could, milk them and square them and multiply them and, other different terms for, like, the whole much more of them. And yes, there are things that, there were different plans and paths and all that kind of stuff. And you could say that they were hijacked, and you could say that there was serious infiltration, and absolutely. All of those are absolutely accurate. Yes, absolutely. And have things been really wonderfully gorgeous and horrific at the same time? Yes, absolutely, yes. The time, silly choice of words, but the time now is to unwind and unbind all of that. And you could say, let all of that miasma, all of that illusory nature, all of that forgetfulness, all of that programming, lots of different ways that you can hold it, to let it, implode into you so that it can be realized. And then in the out breath, the new awakening, that when you look at a photograph of what I just showed you and realize, oh yeah, wow, that's, maybe if you can't own it for yourself yet, you could say, oh, I can see that some beings, well, it's every being, but if you got to cheat a little with yourself to take baby steps to get there.
Well, like I said, I actually have spoken with a few other folks that have had, inklings of different things that they're, integrating or whatever, right? Or that they feel that they are, and yet reluctant to admit to themselves or to others. Like I said, it's a huge thing to quite some time ago, I got, this information for myself, from myself in a meditation, that I was an aspect of Gabriel. Well, that's some pretty big shoes to fill there, So who am I to think that I'm, that was my first, yeah, right, me, kind of thing. That was my thoughts and feelings, but that kind of stuff, when it's so, it don't go away. And so the other thing is that there's lots of us. It's not, there's not one aspect of Gabriel on the planet. There's loads of us, because that's a huge energy.
And not just this planet.
That's right. Not just this planet. No, you're right. Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. There are loads of, that's why when I realized that for myself, that made a lot of sense too. And I think that's why.
See this?
Mm-hmm.
This is a very small, kind of a description, but this is a glass of water. You see the water in there?
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So there are all sorts of molecules, individual molecules of water in there, but yet it's, you could say it's just one glass of water. Right. It's just one Archangel Gabriel.
Right.
Yet, how many, and this isn't accurate, but it's a good representation. So how many molecules of water are in here? So
well,
then, or how many molecules of Gabriel, energy, frequency, are in here? So then you can start to see how that, works out.
Mm-hmm.
And how that's so, and how it flows together, because that's part of the aspect of that.
Yeah. And that's just it. So it also made me think what you were saying there in regards to the molecules, because when you get right down to that, even, science.
Well, there's nothing in the glass.
There's nothing in the glass. That's right. That's where I was going. There's more empty space than anything.
No, there's nothing in the glass. The glass, there is no thing that makes, that we would say tangible, although you could hear it, right? But in actual fact, scientific, provable scientific fact, there is no tangible stuff in between my two hands. There actually aren't even any hands there, but it's all energy frequency. Right. And it's all aligned in certain
order,
vibrancy and order, vibrational order that takes those forms, right? And coalesces into that form. So that it doesn't diminish in any way the illusion of the tangibleness and what to do and play with, and hence the unfathomable toy box that we that we've created.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why I guess I'm saying that all of those things, anything and everything that has been thought of, is actually true. And so, and contained within each of us. And so, oh, wow. I just saw something for myself. Hence why I don't need to tell anybody anything, because we all already know it. I get that now, ladies. I get that. There's just sometimes, when apparently I still want to play like I don't know things. Apparently, I think there's, I I'm enjoying the game of finding out. That's what I've decided now for myself. Oh, thank you. I'm enjoying the game of finding me.
Yeah.
I've never actually taken the time to get to know me in this incarnational body even. So now I get to do it on, wow, God, I just got a big, huge rush on so many levels that I not only get to know the incarnated human portion of who Sheila Corona actually bees, right?
But you get to know all of you.
Yes. But as they
took on whole new meaning.
as they pile in, man, this is so cool. Well,
How much fun.
yes, well, this portion of me that just joined today, it's been here all along, but just came on in today with me, presented it as okay. So when I call up in my mind's eye this, because it's like now I kind of feel like for a while, because I know I was getting those colors in my meditations for a while, and now, but right before this happened, and for a few days too, actually, it's like I could see a being that's sort of humanoid in shape, sort of, like I said, bluish and purplish, but panther-like, and humanoid but panther-like, if that makes any sense. So what that means, what sort of aspect of me that is, I don't know, but it's very interesting. Oh, okay, so I know it's not, it's like all of a sudden one of those Marvel movies, maybe X-Men or something, there was a being very similar to that looked, I don't know, but anyway, I just so those are the kind of things that I think that is the reason I was attracted to this particular topic.
And when you play with the topic, when you encounter it, when you listen to this, when you start your own thinking about it, feeling into it, conversations about it, noticing, actually the act of you bringing yourself, you are bringing this to you, right? Because it's all you doing it, is another way. Remember, we started at the very beginning of the conversation, Sheila, you're saying, well, sometimes these things come around and I guess I wasn't ready for them. No. So someone may be encountering this, connecting with this, a whole, part of this energetic envelope, not only at the timestamp that they may look at, wherever they are that it is playing, right? But it's beforehand, and you have brought it to you, because now there are things that you probably have already, if you allow yourself to fess up on it, have already encountered some of these things. You may have dreamed about them. You may have imagined them. You may have, seen pictures that seem oddly so we do this to ourselves all the time, but now faster and faster and faster and more and more is coming right in front and center, because it's time to open up that toy box and start to not only play with the toys in there, but to make additions on the inside, right? What you were talking about. So the toy box gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It's unfathomable. You cannot fathom the depths and the directions and the densities and the layers and the frequency neighborhoods within there, because you keep creating them, and then you play with others, and you in collective and then in coherence are creating them.
Well, now I'd like to ask both of you a question, because I just heard this question. Okay, so there's also fear that, okay, so like what I shared was how an aspect of me entered my physical body. And this question I got was, well, wait a minute, what if that's not you? And I guess for me, the only thing that I can, because I know that there's, different, and I think it's all in how one approaches it, but if again, for me, if all is actually one, then there's really nothing for me to fear. Is the only answer that I can give in that. And I think that it is the fear that, in other words, if I approached any of this with fear, that's what I get. It's a whole bunch more fear because I'm creator. And if all that is being presented to me are aspects of me, whether they're scary or not, because we all know I've shared, my very first one was kind of scary. I don't know if I did it justice to anybody as to how scary, but it was pretty darn scary. But I just knew that it was me. And so it all changed the minute I saw that. And I don't know. I don't know why I felt, like I said, that question was there. I may not have answered it quite the way I would like, but what would you say to someone who has heard what I just said in regards to, this experience and may be presented with something like that? Because that's a whole different frequency. And so having had that myself, and listen, I'm not going to sit here and say it was easy to keep myself calm and say, no, I know what you're trying to do, and I'm not going to go into fear. And I do love you. I know that you are me. And I know I'm a pretty bad mamma jamma. And I'm not going to, it took a little bit of doing. I'm not going to lie about that. But it's the fear thing. It's like a whole different thing. I don't know. Help me on that.
But you know what I always say about that? It's an invitation to play, and
Right.
It's a very specific game. And it's just up to you whether you want to play or not. And for me, I just look at anything coming to me, anything in my purview that I am dealing with, it's me. And it's for me to deal with and to integrate. And to deal with for me is to face it and embrace it. It's a part of me that needs to be looked at and needs to be loved back into unison and cohesion with the all. It's for, it's all love or lack of. And so when I am presented with lack of love, I will love it.
Well, I have to say that our conversations in regards to that were very helpful for me, as when I encountered that, I had that on board, and it felt very right to me what you said. And that is exactly how I approached that. And that's why I said I'm not sure if there's any other way to say it than just that.
Well, it's all the things that, I don't know how long we've been doing this, that what we've been talking about was an open heart, trusting your knowing, trusting yourself, and what are you choosing? As Lisa said, what do you want to play with? So you can have, and you can have a badass dude that's not actually an aspect of you come to play. And how you choose to have that conversation, right? If someone knocks on your physical door and they say, and they're cursing or swearing or whatever, and do you go run and hide, or so there's different, you can approximate that way. But same thing, as you start to get more, as you own who you are and the beauty of who you are and the power of who you are and that beacon of love of who you are, and trust that, you actually have removed your door from the knockable sphere, whether we're talking about the tangible door or the energetic door or the metaphysical door or any of those kinds of things. That's not to say that you won't notice someone or guide yourself to meet up with these different beings. That could be aspects of yourself that are scary, or it could be other beings and other entities, that are, just use the slang, badass dudes. Okay, but there's a holding process going on wholesale in all of the multiverses. And this is how redemption occurs. This is how expansion occurs. This is how, when one has played in a certain frequency neighborhood and held a predominant frequency vibration, can shift that by going and proverbial knocking on someone else's door to have those interactions. And yes, you could characterize him as a badass dude, but when you actually connect with him, you see that badass dude is looking to shift in their thing. Now, it may be, a big shift for them that just takes him from an uber badass dude to not quite. Hey, stop it! Not quite such an uber. See, a badass dude. So
I was gonna say, sure you don't got a badass dude coming up behind you over there, busy.
there's different levels of expansion. So we're at the behest of it. Excuse me, stop. If we let fear rule us, then fear rules us. And that's all good, because it's our choice at that time, and we can choose differently. And in the process of choosing that and allowing fear to rule us, we are expanding. We are integrating things. We are taking on more experiences and more paths that we can go down. And someone says, well, yeah, I don't like to be scared. Okay, great. Well, see, there's a new choice. There's a, dusting off of this and that and the other thing. But this is, we are 100% responsible, liable, and accountable for who we are. We are 100% responsible. Do I choose fear or love? Big badass dude knocks on the door, scary. I am 100% responsible. I am able to choose my response and how that goes. And since we just talked about that this really does not exist, we can choose, which changes the frequency, which realigns things, which changes our encounter right then and there. And depending on where we are and what we're doing and how we're, trusting ourselves to do it, we may only take it from a badass, serious badass dude, just to use that, to a badass dude who turns around and walks the other way. Okay. But, we're not small, never been small. And now is the time that the neon sign everywhere keeps saying we're not small. And when we want to shrink away from that, when we want to, when we want to deny it, when we want to la la la, when we want to go with the crowd that's of a lower, denser, constricted frequency, then we'll keep getting things that show up for us to step into and come into contact, connection, and coherence with. We're not small. How's the best way to do that? Choice points. Do I want to still be small, or do I want to own the magnificence of who I am, and the grandeur and the capability, right? The creator of that unfathomable toy box. This is the moment that we're choosing now.
Yep. Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
And the one we're going to, well, it's another one too, but play with next is that, and Lisa actually alluded to, we'll do this another time too, but, you are calling forth, just do it. You call forth the shove to squeeze the resistance out of you. So you keep bringing it forth. And if you're looking around and you're going, there seems to be a lot of badass dudes showing at my door all of a sudden, or the car keeps breaking down, or this or that, or the other thing, which are all in the frequency neighborhoods of what your propensity is for restriction and smallness and fear and all those kinds of things. Yes, because you are bringing them to you to have that look at, to have that interaction with, to have that experience with, so that you can be 100% responsible, accountable, liable.
Yep. And the energetics for all of that are so in place right now. I feel like everything, everywhere I look, every sign I see, Mercury's in retrograde at the very first part of its cycle. The equinox is about to happen. The full moon in my personal sun sign Libra is at 0 degrees Libra this time around. So all of the energy for that, bringing that forth, that looking at what is left to squeeze out or whatever, right? All of that is perfectly suited to now. And quite frankly, I just recorded another video that'll be going out this evening. For the rest of this year, we're about to begin a new astrological year, and it is the year of holistic healing in a way, because there's a lot to do with Chiron this go around. And so
it's not backing off. So it's not like in past where you'd have a wave that would come and lift you up. So yeah, you do. You got it. Absolutely. And it's going to keep going. It keeps expanding. It keeps rising. It keeps getting bigger and more unfathomable, and in a good way. It's only choosing the fear, and the fear is just get dunked until, you go, I got it. I've learned all I can possibly learn. I have milked this fear puppy as far as I can take it. And all right, hey, I'm going to let that go, because that's where the sovereign being comes in. You got to earn it. You got to own it for you. And, we're all on the path going away from source, out to no source, and we're going back. And we're doing a bang up job of it. And sometimes you get more banged up than others, and it's all good.
Well, I didn't mean to take up all of the unfathomed and unanticipated and uncharted surprising realms. You two could chime in.
Well, we can do a whole other one about that too.
All right, cool.
It's a huge conversation, and
yes, It
You
is.
know, um, you know, we could each probably do one just on the different things that have come to play with us. Just a piece of the things, one thing that has come to play with us as one example in one day. Never mind 1 week or whatever. So
Right.
Yes, because that's growing exponentially
It is.
in almost every moment, it feels sometimes.
and I'm going to write that down because a bunch of people just said, yeah, do that.
Okay, awesome. All right. Well, do either one of you have anything that you would like to add to this particular energetic envelope?
Nope. I
All
thought your
right.
story was delightful.
Well,
And this conversation was perfect.
well, thank you. I thought so too.
Yeah.
It was just perfect. And so we will have all of the usual things for my gal pals, my posse, if you will, in all the usual places. And we'll see you guys again, I'm hoping very soon, like in just a few minutes. Till next time.
Much love.